sharing the inspiration one guest at a time. This is the Beyond Barriers Unscripted podcast.
They wanted to be able to read more independently, or they wanted to be able to go out more independently. They wanted to live independently.
Hello and welcome to the show. My name is Randy Owen.
I'm Brandy Kibble.
In this episode, Brandy and I are joined by Karthik Kannan.
Karthik is the CTO and co-founder of Envision, makers of the Envision AI app and Envision Glasses. He was kind enough to sit down with us and have an unscripted conversation.
Before we get started, we'd like to ask that if you enjoy the show, hit that like button, share with a friend, and please subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, you can reach Brandy or myself at bb.unscripted@gmail.com.
And now, our conversation with Karthik.
Karthik, you're joining us from the Netherlands, is that correct?
Yes, I'm joining you from this little university town in the Netherlands called Delft, which is about an hour away from Amsterdam, and it's about 15 minutes away from our office in The Hague. So super excited to be here on BB Unscripted. Thanks so much for having me, Randy, and Brandy's. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Can you tell us a little bit of a summary, kind of a snapshot of what the Envision Glasses are and what the Envision AI app?
Sure. So Envision primarily builds tools for people with the visual impairment so they can feel more empowered, live more independently using artificial intelligence. And we have two main products. The first is the Envision Glasses. The Envision Glasses are basically a pair of smart glasses that help a visually impaired person or anyone with a visual disability. There are also people with dementia and dyslexia using the Envision Glasses who are not exactly visually impaired. It helps them to be able to read text from pretty much any printed surface. Could be an iPad screen, could be a printed document, could even be like a water bottle or something like that you might find in a supermarket. So it helps people read text from pretty much any surface in over 60 different languages, including handwritten text. It helps them recognize faces, helps them recognize the personal belongings in their environment, and you can even make video calls directly from the glasses to a friend or a family member. And the other thing that Envision also builds is the Envision app. And the Envision app is a smartphone app that's available for both iOS and Android, whose primary focus, of course, it has a lot of other features, but the primary focus is, again, for example, being able to read a PDF or being able to read text or recognize faces and so on. So the Envision app and the Envision Glasses together form sort of the Envision platform, the Envision ecosystem that helps people, to be able to live more independently using AI. That's what we do.
About 2 weeks ago, Brandy and I were invited to go to an in-person demonstration. There's about 4 or 5 people in the room. And one of the retailers that we are connected with had a couple devices he wanted to show us. And one of those devices was the Envision Glasses. And Brandy, can you tell us a little bit about your experience with that?
Yes. So what I did was I picked up the glasses, and in literally about 10 seconds, I was wandering around the room, looking at everything, using the object recognition. I fell in love with them almost instantly. Literally looked at the vendor and said, I need a pair of these. 3 years ago, when I went completely blind, I dreamed of having a device like this. I mean, I'm a Star Trek fan, so the idea of having a pair of glasses like this has always been something I've wanted. So to pick them up and actually have something like that was a dream come true. I'm like, I got to get me one of these. So they are empowering. That's about the only word I can say. Liberating and empowering. So, Karthik, can you tell us a little bit about what inspired you to make the Envision Glasses?
Yeah, so me and my co-founder, who's also called Karthik, the two of us don't have people who are visually impaired in our direct social circle, be it friends or family members. So for the longest time, I was completely unaware, like most people who don't have people with a visual impairment or the disabilities in their social circle, about what kind of, life people with a visual impairment tend to lead. And all of that changed in 2016 when I went to a blind school in India to give a talk to the kids who were graduating from that school. They were in the last year of school. It was, I think, pretty much their last month at school. And one of the teachers was a family friend. So she invited me and my co-founder, and my friend, the other Karthik as well, to give a talk about what it is to be a designer, what it is to be a developer. And the main idea behind, the talk was to tell the kids that, at the end of the day, a designer or a developer or a researcher is someone who solves problems for a living. We show up at work every day, we have different types of problems and we solve problems. And at the end of the talk, I just, volleyed a simple question back to the kids. And I asked them what kind of problems would they like to solve when they leave high school? What kind of problems would they like to see solve when they kind of grow up and go into society? And that was extremely eye-opening because, all the kids were giving me something, like they wanted to be able to read more independently, or they wanted to be able to go out more independently. They wanted to live independently. And it just struck me at that point in time. And it was such a, I don't know, it was such a life-changing moment when all of these answers started coming back to that very simple question. And I realized that for a lot of kids, they were leading extremely dependent lives, and they would continue to go out and continue to lead these dependent lives. Also because, in Indian society, there is not a lot of awareness around accessibility in general. So it's like they've got multiple levels of obstacles, and all of them basically lead them to, live more dependent lives. They have to keep depending on someone or the other to be able to do these very simple tasks for a sighted person. And instead of going back home that day, I clearly remember, me and the other Karthik, we went to a cafe nearby, and we just sat down and spent the whole evening processing what we heard. And it was during our conversations at that time that I started to realize that a lot of tasks that, that people with, a visual impairment were finding it difficult to do were slowly being surpassed by AI in a lot of space, in a lot of areas. So for example, when it comes to reading text, right, 2016 was a landmark year when AI was performing much better than humans in that problem. Or when it came to recognizing faces, again, 2016, 2015 was a landmark year where AI was able to recognize faces more accurately than humans do. So that eventually became sort of the starting point for Envision. And in the beginning, Envision wasn't meant to be a company. It was supposed to be a project, that me and my co-founder were just wanting to do. So we just wanted to take out time from our lives. I was in between jobs. My co-founder was doing his master's thesis. So we thought, okay, you know what? Let's take the 6 to 8 months and let's build something based on artificial intelligence for people with a visual impairment, and let's just make it as a project. And so that's how the Envision project started. And I clearly remember I was in India at that time, and I spent a lot of my sabbatical just building this stuff. And, my friend would be here in the Netherlands, and he would take it to, he had like a focus group of people who are visually impaired. And we used to test out different prototypes of the Envision app. And at the beginning, it was just really this ugly, clunky app that just had 2 buttons on it, right? And it used to crash a lot as well. But then for some reason, we started seeing that people were organically sharing the app with each other without us ever asking them to do so. And before the end of, the thesis, and before the end of the project, and when we ran out of, funding for it, we had about 500, 600 people who were just organically using the app, which again, was nothing like the Envision app today. It was just a white screen, 2 buttons on it, as ugly as it can get, as basic as it can get. And towards the end of the project, I still remember it was a Friday evening. I just shot out an email to everyone who was there in the project, these 500, 600 odd people. And I told them that, hey, thank you so much for doing this. We're going to publish a big video and a report about the whole project. We're going to raise awareness that AI can be used for people, with a visual impairment and solve the independence problem. And, I thanked them for it. And we just said, yeah, we ran out of funding, so we're going to shut down the project. Thanks for taking part in it. And I remember waking up the next morning and my inbox was literally clogged with all 500, 600 people writing to us with incredible stories, right? I mean, they were saying that, I use the Envision app is now on my home screen. I use it every single day. It's completely, like, why would you want to shut this thing down? And this was before the wave of AI apps that came after that, like Seeing AI and all these other apps, came in late 2017. And we were still in early 2017, and all of this feedback started coming in. And that's when it struck that, like a lot of people were actually encouraging us to do this full time. They're like, you guys should start this as a company. I would totally pay money for this to continue development of the app. And that impetus, that initial push eventually, like told us that, okay, let's actually do this as a company. What's the worst that could happen, right? We were fairly young. We didn't have a lot of, like adult, things that, we didn't have a mortgage to pay, or we were just fairly, not so attached in our lives at that point, not too many attachments. So we decided to take the plunge in October of 2017 and start Envision as a company. And that's what we've been doing all these years. We initially started with the Envision app. Our aim was always to build Envision on the glasses, but back in 2017 there was nothing resembling smart glasses, so we had to start off with the app, and then we eventually launched the app on Android as well, and then we launched the Envision glasses in 2020. So that's been our journey so far.
I've had low vision my entire life, and I remember the first time I saw the movie Terminator. I know it's a bad example, but when they were showing the view through the Terminator and it had all the data and stuff, and then I think it was Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Jordy glasses.
He wore the visor, and it's just nice to see that this technology is finally becoming small and wearable, in the mainstream. With the word accessibility, we often think of people's disabilities. And one of the things I think that really impressed me with your product is that it's available in so many languages. How many languages did you say it supports?
It supports 60 different languages, like 60 mainstream languages. And we also support 30 dialects as well. So, we could close to 100, languages in total. Yeah.
Can you tell us about the hardware?
Sure. So the Envision glasses basically look like any other pair of sunglasses. They are quite lightweight. And then, usually on the right-hand side of the glasses is where you have all of the electronics. That's where the body or the pod of the glasses usually are. So right in front of your right eye would be a screen. And that screen would go ahead and display all the information, but we don't need that screen particularly. And just right next to the screen, you'd have a camera. And now that is a wide angle camera, though it is to the right side on the right eye. It is angled towards the center, and it's a much wider angle than your regular smartphone camera, which enables us to capture more information with you just holding a document roughly in front of your face. And that's basically why we have the camera on the right but angled towards the center. Now, for traveling further down from the camera, right next to your temple area is where you have a trackpad. You have gestures that you can do on the trackpad. We took all the gestures that people are very familiar with, when they're using voiceover or talkback. We took those gestures. We built our own screen reader that's meant for smart glasses, and then you basically navigate through the glasses using gestures. And also recently we launched voice commands, so you can also use your voice to navigate through the glasses now as well. And if you go further down from the trackpad that's located right next to your temple, right next to your right ear is where you have the speaker. You also have microphones in 3 different areas of the glasses, so all the audio output that comes from the glasses would be coming through the speaker located next to your ear. And of course, you can go ahead and pair the glasses with a Bluetooth device as well. So if you have a Bluetooth, headphones like AirPods or smart speakers, you can pair the glasses with them. And located behind your ear is where the battery and the processor are all located there. And you have a USB-C charging port at the very end of the glasses. And the glasses do support fast charging as well. And they come with about 5 to 8 hours battery life on continuous usage, and about 12 to 16 hours of battery life when you just fold the glasses and put them into standby, right? And we also have another pair, another frame that comes with the glasses that, looks very much like, Ray-Ban Wayfarer glasses. Actually, they have the same Wayfarer design. And in that particular frame, you can also add prescription lenses or dark lenses. So it comes with these removable lenses in that frame. And then the frame that comes with the glasses, the standard frame, is a thin titanium frame that connects to the glasses as well. So we have two different types of frames. And the glasses do also come with a 1-year warranty, hardware warranty. So anytime during the year, if you have any issues with the hardware, we just swap them out, just put them in a box, send them to us, and we send you a new pair. And the hardware itself is pretty lightweight. It's about 50 grams. Not sure how much that is in ounces per se, but it's about 50 grams in total. And so it's something that you can wear all day, basically.
Can you talk about the internet connectivity of the device?
Sure. So the glasses do require an internet connection for some features. For example, being able to scan a document or being able to make a video call. Those are the instances when you need an internet connectivity. But there are also features within the glasses that don't require an internet connectivity at all. For example, we have a feature called instant text, or even like what Randy was talking about, if you want to recognize objects in your surroundings, those don't require an internet connectivity at all. All the AI happens completely on the glasses. And even something like voice commands completely works offline without needing any internet connectivity, unlike your Siri or Alexa and those kind of, different voice, this one. And our aim is to go ahead and build more and more of these functionalities offline. In fact, when we first launched the Envision Glasses, about 80% of all our features required an internet connectivity, but that number is down to about 50% right now. And towards the end of the year, you'll see a lot more features come entirely offline, including the ability to scan a document, which will bring it down to about 30% of the features requiring an internet connectivity. So we're going to, as AI progresses, as our own technology keeps improving, a lot of the really complex advanced AI features would be coming offline. And of course, as smart glasses become more powerful, we're going to definitely have more of these features coming entirely offline.
So you've put a lot of work into this company and into this technology, and it's very, very meaningful. I don't know if you can really appreciate that, and I don't mean to make it sound like us and them. Looking back in your life, did you have any mentors or somebody that instilled, that desire to be a problem solver and to help others?
I do fully appreciate, how much of an impact Envision as a company makes. I think it's one of those things that truly move me, and it's one of the reasons why, and Envision is hard. And I think, a lot of people who build companies in the accessibility space also know that it is hard work. At the end of the day, this space is a little bit more challenging to navigate, than other conventional industries per se. So it is incredibly rewarding for us, and that's the main driver in my life at this point. If I'm putting in 6 days a week, 12-hour days, it doesn't feel like a lot at all, because of the fact that we hear so many incredible stories. And when someone like Brandy says that, it's the glasses are empowering, it's what pushes us to keep trying to build magic into them. I'm a Trekkie myself, and I know how much these kind of glasses look like science fiction, and it's incredibly rewarding to be working on something that was once upon a time science fiction, but now becoming more of a reality. So it is definitely empowering, and I'm very aware of it. In fact, we use Slack internally within the company, and we have a Slack channel called Happy Users. And my main goal in life with Envision is to get the Slack the Happy User Slack channel to a point where people have to start muting that channel, because we're having so many people putting happy user stories within that channel, and it's starting to resemble a little bit like spam, right? So that's the thing. I think for me personally, there have been a lot of mentors in my life who've really instilled a sense of the possibilities that technology can have. But I think the biggest sort of the earliest inflection point in my life was when I was around 13 years of age. I still remember I basically rebuilt the website of my school. When I rebuilt the website of my school, I was able to take some of the question papers of the previous years and then actually go ahead and put them on our website, like upload them on our website, build a nice interface for students to be able to access those test papers and study at home. And I built that piece of technology and I put it on my school's website, and I did that as a summer project for my school. And I could see that all of a sudden there were so many people who walked up to me when the term finished and the new term was beginning, and they were coming and telling me that, hey, this stuff that you built for the school, the website that you built where you put in the previous year's test papers, I could just sit at home and then download them over my internet connection and then study them at home, instead of having to make get my dad to drop me off at the school library and then go to the school library and then explicitly take those question papers or test papers and then study from there. So that was the point when I realized that, wait a second, I could do something like this. I was sitting at home all summer and coding that particular website. And I felt that I could do something like that and put it out there. And if it was something that, people truly found impactful or truly found useful, it would in a way, make their lives a lot more easier. It was that first point in my life when I built a piece of tech, put it out in the world, people found it useful, and it really made an impact. And I think it was that moment that I realized I didn't know that I was going to be doing Envision or building something like Envision years down the line. But at that point, I decided that I wanted to be someone who would use technology to build something that would have an impact. And I think that singular thread or that singular moment in my life when all of these students would come up to me and tell me that, hey, this made an impact, I think that was a turning point for me. And, I think that's my co-founder, my friend, also has like similar stories as well of using technology to help people, and I think that kind of binds us together on this journey. Yeah,
that's awesome. I love it when somebody finds a road and it leads them to that same place, and then they find a kindred spirit that is on that same road.
Yeah, no, I think that is actually, the sort of binding moment for us, or the binding value, core value that binds all of us here at Envision, is that, the developers, the designers, they all have some story or the other of them using technology to have an impact, not maybe in the lives of people with disabilities, but in people's lives in general. There are people who have created, like, say, for example, we have a colleague of mine who created like a user group for all programmers back in early 2000s in a country like Iran, when they didn't have access to proper internet connectivity. He worked a lot to disseminate technological information and programming guides to people in Iran. He built internal sites that did that, and that was his moment when he realized that I could actually use technology to create an impact in my community's life. So we all have stories like that, and Envision is just a motley group of people who believe in technology and using that technology to create impact for good. That's what guides us. Yeah,
I listened to your TED Talk, and one of the things that I liked how you said that it was in the Envision Glasses that accessibility was built into the device and into your products. And there's in the disability movement, it's called Nothing About Us Without Us, and it's the idea that disabled people are in the design from the ground up. And it's sort of the philosophy that you have in your company as well. And it sounds like it's sort of a running philosophy in everything you guys do. Even if it's, that everything you do is for the good of humanity and for your company and for everybody. And would you say that that's kind of your overall team effort?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think, we are acutely aware. I'm very acutely aware that since I'm not visually impaired, I have to work very, very closely with the community in order to be able to build a product that is truly useful and truly impactful and is well designed for the community, right? I think I'm, and everyone who's cited at Envision is truly humble enough to understand that, they're not the users, so they have to spend a lot of time talking to people and immersing themselves in the community to be able to truly build something that is of use. And so we always start with talking to a lot of users. In fact, we have people in our team who are visually impaired. We meet with dozens of people with the visual impairment or from the community on a weekly basis. In fact, our office is pretty much like an open like an open environment. There are people who just walk in to play. We have a Dungeons and Dragons night every week. We play accessible Dungeons and Dragons. So we built our own accessible Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and we use sound effects. We try to, engage and work with the community as much as possible, like, hang out with them even after work. And we have friends in the community who drop by the office. And if you're in the Netherlands, you can always drop by our office. It's like a complete open door policy where you just show up to the office. There are people who just show up to the office and then work out of there, for example. And we encourage that because it helps us to really talk to people, understand them, better, and try to build something that's truly meaningful for them. And so I think, yes, it is basically in the very DNA of Envision to involve users from the beginning. In fact, some of the best stuff that you see on the Envision glasses have come from just conversations with people, after work over a few beers, and people in the community say, hey, you know what, this is something that has always annoyed me, and we go out and try to solve that annoyance or try to solve that problem. So they were like, yeah, there's so many AI apps out there. There's so many devices that also have AI, but none of them actually help us to, for example, scan a document without second guessing if we're taking the picture properly or not. And, that kind of annoyance was our whole impetus around building a document guidance feature on the glasses. It was incredibly difficult, but we built it because people just felt that there are apps, there are OCR apps that help you take pictures and read what's out there, but we always have to keep second guessing if we have the entire document in frame, especially when they're using like the glasses, right? So those are the kind of conversations that lead to some of the best work that we have done. So we always work with the community first.
That's amazing. So is it in AI, is it going to use machine learning so that the device actually gets smarter?
Yes. So every time someone uses any of Envision's products, we do use, so we do ask people for consent if we can, use their data to improve the whole, the AI, and so if people do give us consent, then we go ahead and use the data in like an anonymous way to improve our AI and to improve the, and to rapidly speed up its learning. So yes, every time people use the glasses or people use the app, they're kind of, contributing to an overall improvement in the way our AI works. Yeah.
My hubby's an electrical engineering graduate student who's blind, and he's specializing in AI and machine learning. So I have all these questions because he's like, ooh, I want to learn more about this.
Yeah, no, it is an exciting field. And what I'm most excited about it is the fact that there are so many advances that are on the horizon right now, which, I'm very excited for. And over the next few years, we're going to see all of those advances slowly start coming into accessibility as well. And we're going to be, even if other companies don't work on it, we definitely will bring those advances to the accessibility space because, when they do come, I think, it definitely would be extremely empowering. For example, AI would be getting a lot more personalizable. So you would be able to personalize AI on the fly. So, for example, you could teach it your coffee mug versus your husband's coffee mug, or, you could use it to recognize, things more, and you could use it to recognize more kinds of objects in your life. So there are a lot of these incredible advances that just are on the horizon, on the very cusp of actually taking off. And we're doing a lot of research in that space. So I'm super excited for the future of AI. Yeah.
Do you see any collaboration with other companies, Google or, on the horizon?
Yeah, I mean, we're already using the Google Glass hardware. So we do have a very deep partnership with Google on a lot of fronts. But I think what I'm most excited about is partnering with other companies in the accessibility space. One of the many things that, one of my many wishes for the Envision platform and our broad overarching vision is to make the Envision Glasses something like a smartphone platform, right? Something like how iOS is, something like how Android is. We want to make Envision Glasses the first accessible smart glasses platform. And we're actually partnering with a number of companies in this space. And I would love to come back at some point in the future and talk about it on the podcast. We have some big announcements on the horizon. Some of the favorite accessibility companies that people have been using for a long time, who've been loving for a long time. We're all, so we're kind of collaborating with them and bringing them onto the Envision Glasses platform. So when someone actually buys a pair of Envision Glasses, they just don't just get Envision's technology, but they also have a whole bunch of their favorite apps that they can install, and all those apps incredibly benefit from being on something like a smart glasses platform, because users don't have to hold their phone in their hand and point it around in a clunky manner. They can just wear the glasses and look around, and those apps, be it like other video calling apps or be it navigation apps, would benefit immensely from having like a smart glasses platform that they can build on, right? So we have a lot of interesting collaborations that are currently in the works right now.
So can you share with us the exciting news about the price of the Envision Glasses and the app? And
yeah, sure. No, and this is going back to our mission of trying to build something or trying to build technology that becomes accessible to as many people around the world as possible. So the first big announcement that we have is the Envision app is going to be completely free going forward. So the Envision app was a subscription app up until today, where people had to pay €2 per month or $2 per month in order to be able to use the app. And now we're just getting rid of that fee entirely, and the app is completely free. So it doesn't mean the app is going to be watered down or we're going to shut down the app. We just have, found ways, using technology to be able to deliver all of Envision's goodness at no cost, for people. So the Envision app is going to be entirely free. The second thing is the Envision Glasses. They were priced at $3,500, but starting from today, they're priced at $2,499. So it's $1,000 off on the price of the Envision Glasses. So more people hopefully will be able to afford them. More people will be able to go ahead and get the benefit of these technologies. So anyone who has been using the Envision app, though they don't have to pay for it anymore, it's completely free. And it's free for all users across the world on both iOS and Android. And the Envision Glasses, again, it's priced at $2,500 as against $3,500 that was before. So again, more people can go ahead and access this technology, and they can already go on our website and make a purchase of the glasses.
And what is the website?
So they can go to our website, letsenvision.com, LETSENVISION.com/glasses. That's GLASSES. So some things I do want to mention. Envision offers a free one-on-one demonstration of the Envision glasses for those of them who are interested in purchasing the glasses. So I would definitely go ahead and avail that. When you go on our website, you can request a free demonstration of the glasses, and we go ahead and give you a free demo of it. The second thing is that the glasses now come with a 30-day return policy, 13-day no questions asked return policy. Again, we had a 14-day return policy. We now increased that to a 30-day return policy. And the third thing is that anyone who makes a purchase of the glasses going forward will always get a one-on-one demonstration, as a one-on-one onboarding of the Envision glasses. So when they make a purchase of the Envision glasses and when they get a pair of it, they can just go ahead and book a one-on-one onboarding with us. And they can say, okay, you know what, I'm available, between this time to this time. We just need an hour of your time. We're going to walk you through how to set up the Envision glasses, how to pair it with the Envision app, how to add, allies for video calling. We're going to just walk you through the whole thing and help and make sure that you get the most out of the glasses themselves, right? So these are also the three other things that we have also introduced recently that people can benefit from. So they can get a one-on-one demonstration of the glasses. They can make a purchase of the glasses directly on our website at $24.99. And then they would be eligible for a one-on-one onboarding of the glasses as well. Again, completely free onboarding or training. You can also call it training and onboarding. And we offer a 30-day return, no questions asked return policy. And we're also going to be coming out with payment plans later this year.
That's cool.
We have a lot of distributors, and we're also onboarding them, bringing them on to our new pricing. And once they're fully onto our new pricing, they also offer payment plans. So people will be able to also go ahead and make use of that.
I always, and no pun intended, but I've always envisioned a pair of glasses that you can't tell that they're an accessibility tool. Does that make sense? It just looks like a regular pair of Ray-Bans or Oakleys yeah. So what do you see happening in the next, 3 to 5 years?
I think definitely one thing is that smart glasses are going to go mainstream. We're already, for example, Google debuted or showed off a more like a smart glasses at their developer conference this year, Google I/O. At the very end of the conference, they had a very simple demonstration of a pair of glasses that honestly, they look like any other pair of glasses, right? You wouldn't really call them like a high-tech piece of technology. I mean, if I just saw them lying on the table, I would just think they're like regular glasses, right? So they showed off a pair of glasses that look like that. I think over the next 3 to 5 years, we're definitely going to see smart glasses become more and more mainstream, so much so that they're going to become slowly indistinguishable from like regular sunglasses. I think that kind of computing power with the ease of use of using voice as a primary interface, that's going to make a huge dent in the accessibility world. And I'm definitely looking forward to that future. Envision is going to be part of that future and building towards that future in a way. The second thing I definitely foresee is that we're going to see a lot of really cool advancements in AI, but the only big difference is going to be that all of that is going to be able to run completely on device. And that's a huge thing because one, when you have AI that runs on device, you don't have privacy concerns because you don't, the AI is not talking to a remote server or a cloud or anything on the cloud that can go ahead and compromise privacy. So having AI run entirely offline is going to be a huge plus. The third big thing is, of course, like I said, AI is going to get more personalizable, right? It's going to recognize your surroundings. It's going to tailor itself to your surroundings and your environment and your people a lot more. And that makes AI truly useful because once it starts to get more personalized to your life and to your environment, it can basically unlock a new level of possibility. Like I was just giving you the idea of being able to recognize your coffee mug versus your husband's coffee mug, your spouse's coffee mug. That's something simple, but then being able to recognize your voice over other people's voices and then, drown them out so that only your voice is heard when you're trying to talk on a video call. Navigation and things like that are going to become very much possible with AI, where you could have AI powered, a navigation, in combination with smart glasses that hopefully might one day replace a walking cane, or maybe make the use of a walking cane not as important or not as needed anymore. So there's a lot of that level of contextualization that AI is going to bring, and that in combination with a form factor like smart glasses, where your hands are free, where you don't have to clunkily point your phone around. I think that those advances are going to have huge implications for accessibility and hopefully we can use those technologies to empower people to live more independently, regardless of whether they have a disability or not. And I think even for people with sight, these technologies can amplify their life in so many amazing ways. So that's what I'm most excited about seeing in the future.
What do you think about LiDAR?
Oh, I think that's going to be massive. I think one of the really cool things about AI is sensor fusion, right? This concept called sensor fusion, where you take different sensors, you combine that with the camera, and you provide a much more accurate output than just with the camera itself. And we're already seeing that, for example, on the new iPhone 12 and iPhone 13, you have a LiDAR sensor. In fact, we use the LiDAR sensor within the Envision app to be able to estimate the distance of an object, because we're able to shoot out a LiDAR, beam and then get accurate mappings of your environment. I think smart glasses in the future are going to be packed with a lot of these sensors like LiDAR, like how we have a gyroscope on pretty much any device today. Tomorrow is going to be LiDAR. And when you have that, you all of a sudden have the AI output, and then you have the output from the sensors, and then you put the two together and you have an extremely realistic mapping of your environment, regardless of the lighting conditions. And I think that's a huge game changer.
One of the challenges that a lot of us that use the white cane to travel is, the cane's great for finding stuff on the ground, but you're walking down a sidewalk and there's a tree branch hanging over or somebody's ladder sticking out of the back of the truck. It would be really cool to wear a pair of glasses that can
identify that.
Yeah, that would be way cool.
Yeah, no, that's very cool. And like a lot of people do ask us very often that why don't you build, obstacle detection, or why don't you build navigation, using AI on the glasses. Now, we would love to do that, but at the end of the day, I wouldn't be very comfortable giving it to a friend or a family member, if I'm not very sure of what the output of those kind of, things are going to be, because it is going to be important to tell you if there is a branch in front of you or not, because you don't want to run into them. Right. And if the AI is not reliable, then, if it's just based on the based on the camera images, then it's not going to be reliable. But the moment you put in camera images and a sensor like the LiDAR, which is based on actual physics, then at that point, things get to start, things become a lot more accurate. And then you can actually start having accurate navigation, because even if your camera is not able to pick up an obstacle in front of you because of lighting conditions or because of some issue with the camera, your LiDAR would be able to do that, because yes, it's just at the end of the day, like laser beams going out into the environment and mapping it. So the mapping is going to be a lot more accurate versus just using AI, right? So at that point in time, yes, I'd love to go ahead and build something of a navigational, system on the glasses where, people can use it to like detect obstacles.
I think that's as we get better with, and if I'm correct, I don't know, I think my husband will probably ding me for this if I get it wrong. I think that's when we get better with neural networks.
Yeah. That's when you could teach neural networks to like not just recognize stuff that's coming in from images, but you can also, teach it to take the image information and the information from the sensors and sort of combine it together and teach the neural network.
Through your experience of working in the disability community and providing the services that you do, what have you learned about yourself?
I think I've learned a very fundamental aspect of myself, that I realize that I'm extremely happy, when I know that the technology or the tools that I'm building or the work that I'm doing on a daily basis and really working my ass off, for like 8 to 10 or 12 hours a day is actually leading to a meaningful impact for people. And I think Envision has kind of spoiled me to the point where, after Envision, I don't think I'd be able to go and work for like a company that's like, a fintech company, or I don't think I'd be able to work for like a company that's selling ads on the internet. I don't think, even if you give me a lot of money, or like $1 million per year or something, I don't think I'd ever be able to put my heart into that kind of work anymore, because I think, my life has the kind of purpose right now that it has, because I'm building the tools for people in this particular community, and because it's working in this community is so rewarding, because the people are so kind and people are so willing to give you feedback, and you see the impact that you make, when you build something and it impacts the life of somebody sitting thousands of kilometers away from you, who's using the tools that you build, that you're building and putting it to good use. I think I realize I'm extremely happy doing that. And even if I don't get paid a single cent for my work at Envision, even if I just don't make any money at all at the end of the day, I'm just super, super happy that I'm building this stuff. And I think going forward in my life, I would continue to work on products and tools that give me that same feeling. I used to be more of a gun for hire kind of a person before I started working, before started building Envision. I worked previously in the ads industry, and before that I worked, in other industries. And I think starting with Envision and building Envision and working on it has taught me that I'm the kind of person that's the most happiest when I'm building tools that have an impact. And that's the fundamental truth I realized about myself. And yeah, I think there's no going back for me from this point on.
With that being said, how do you manage work-life balance?
I believe that my work is it's like a sprint. So the way I look at work-life balance is, you have periods where you have to put in an intense amount of work, and then you take a bit of break, and then you go back to putting in an intense amount of work, and then and then taking a break. So I look at my week, my month, and my year that way. So in a week, yes, I do work like 5 hours a day, 5 days a week. I work for, I don't know how many, I don't keep account of the hours, but it's usually like 8 to 10 hours of work every single day. And weekends, I ensure that I make it a point to like rest and relax and, work on things that are not, in front of a computer. Like I do a lot of photography. So I take my camera, I go to new cities in the Netherlands. I go out with friends and I take as many pictures as I can. And I spend my time doing something that's very dramatically different, from my day-to-day work. And so that way I give some time to like rest and relax. And I follow the same pattern, for the rest of the year as well. So there are months when I'm just putting my head down and I'm working as hard as I can, to ensure we continue to do the things that we want to do. And then I ensure that I take a break for like a week. I travel to some part. One of the nice things about living in Europe is, you travel a few hundred kilometers and you live in you're in a completely different country, a different culture, even different landscape. So I make the most out of it. I try to go to different landscapes. If I live in the Netherlands where everything is flat, so I love the mountains. I love some elevation. So I go to Germany sometimes, or Austria, and then just hike for a week, just hike for like, 5 hours a day or something for like a week on end. And then I'm like, okay, you know what? Now it's time, like, I feel like fully energized, and, I feel I start to miss work. So that's when I come back, and then I have a few intense months, and then I do it. So I think it's a sprint, it's like, you work out a little bit, and then you rest, and then you work out, you rest. So I think that's the pattern that works best for me. So I know I need to take a break when I start to get a little like down on energy at work. So I know, okay, I've been hard at work for 3 or 4 months. Now it's time for me to take a break. I'm gone for a week, and then I come back, and then I put in another 3 or 4 months, and I'm gone for a week. So in a year, at least try to take 3 or 4 short breaks like this that allow me to rest, relax, put things in perspective. And when I start missing work, I just book the next flight back home and start working.
So going back to your the presentation you gave to those graduating seniors, with all that you've learned in your research and development for the Envision app and for the Envision Glasses, speaking to all those blind folks and everything, and what you learned about yourself, what problems would you want to solve next? And would you give them a different question?
Well, I think, I would still ask them what kind of problems would they like to solve when they grow up. But hopefully with Envision being out there in the world, they don't talk about things like being able to read books more independently, or they don't set their sights low anymore. I feel like they should be empowered enough to set their sights higher with Envision and other AI technologies in their midst. 5 years ago, they didn't have access to this technology, and with Envision being free today, they should be able to say, it's a book, I can read a book independently, or no, I'm able to go out more independently. I'm able to do things more, do the basic stuff more independently. And I feel like, they should be able to say that, okay, I have a platform like Envision. I don't have to worry about some of the most basic stuff anymore. I'm going to go and conquer bigger mountains now. And I hope they, say something like, I want to be able to solve, like cancer or something like that. Bigger problems, that they should be able to solve, and not the stuff that sighted folks take for granted. Like being able to read a book is something that a visually impaired person should someday hopefully able to be like, it's not a big deal. It's a book after all, and I can read it no matter whether it's handwritten, whether it's printed, whether it's in Hebrew, it's in Arabic or in English or Chinese, that doesn't matter. So it's like, as technology continues to empower people, I wish they set their sights on bigger and bigger problems to solve. And I hope that, Envision can help people unlock their full potential. And I think that's the kind of things that I would love for those kids to hear. And I wouldn't change anything about, my journey so far. And it's just been incredibly, exciting. It's been incredibly humbling. And in many moments of my life, I just feel like a lot of times that, I live in a little bit of a dream, the fact that I'm able to solve these problems, and, to be able to live this life and to be able to give back to humanity in this way. And I feel like it's incredibly rewarding. Yeah.
I hope that you are at a conference or a show or something, and you get those kids come up to you and try those glasses, and they go, "Oh my gosh, I saw you came and did a presentation," or something, because that would be just the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, no, I hope so too. And I one of the things I did when we made the Envision app free was to reach out to those to the high school teacher that I knew, and I wanted to tell her that, hey, listen, today the app is entirely affordable. You don't have to ask the kids to pay anymore, and you should get the kids that are there today to try it out. And because it's free, and with no strings attached, absolutely, they should be able to go ahead and make full use of it. And that's when I'd feel nice if I know that those kids back in India are using it on their smartphones, hopefully. As Envision continues to grow, and as Envision continues to get support from the community, we hope to make this technology more and more and more accessible until anyone and everyone who wants to be able to live more independently and has access to smart glasses or smartphones should be able to use Envision's technology and live life to the fullest.